Last time we learned about new measures with DAX, or data analysis expression, and we made KPI measures using the card visualizations. Today we're going to work with the same data set, and we are going to learn a little bit about tooltips. A tooltip is additional information that can be viewed when you hover over a particular visualization. But first, let's connect our data. We're going to redo these steps that we've previously done in lesson 1 and 2. We are importing from an Excel file, so I can click here and get the data file. I could have also clicked Excel Workbook in the Home ribbon, and we would have gotten the same thing. I'm going to collect all 3 tables, and then I will transform the data. You could also load the data and then click Transform Data up in the ribbon if you need to transform data. In this case we do, because we need to set the first row as column headers. In my case, it opened the Power Query Editor in another screen, so I'll just bring it over for you, and you can see that we have our orders table, our returns table, and our users table, and this is the only one that we need to make a change with right now, so we'll use the first row as headers and click Close and Apply. Could also have gotten that to pull up here, so if you do need to use the Power Query Editor in the future, you could just bring it right back. Okay, so we have our orders table, our returns table, and our users. And we also want to make sure that our tables are connected with relationships in our model view. So I toggled over to model view. And Power BI already has a relationship set for region, but it does not have a relationship for orders and returns. So I'll go ahead and create one. And now we have it here. There's also relationship properties right here in this pane. Now I'll go back to the report view. We can build a visualization here, so I'm going to start by selecting a line chart. And I want the sales and I'm going to put that with order date. I'm going to expand the date hierarchy here and remove day. Now I have a date here on the x-axis, and I have the sum of sales on the y-axis. Sales should be formatted as a currency, so let's do that by clicking on Sales, which takes us to Column Tools in the ribbon. And in the formatting area, let's set that as a currency. Now we have a dollar sign anywhere where the sum of sales is used. You'll notice if I hover over, there's also a tooltip. So let's format our chart a little bit, and we'll go to the Format Your Visual area, and under Lines here, let's change the color of our line. So we can expand the color, and you can set whatever color you want. I'm going to set this color, and I will make it a little bit larger. You could also change the look of your chart by selecting a different style or a different join type. There's also an interpolation type here, so you could also change that. I'm going to stay with linear. And I'll also go and remove my axis titles. And I can edit my title as well in the General tab. If I expand that, I'm just going to change the language here. I think this reads a little bit nicer. And you can see that it's gone up there and changed. I can also make my text a little bit larger so that way it's prominent. Finally, just renaming the page name to something other than page 1. That way, when you look at it, you'll know that it's something different. And I'm going to add a new page now. This one we'll call Tooltip. And in this one, I want to select the region and also the sales. I'm going to set this to a column chart. And I'm actually going to deselect for a moment and go to my page information and adjust my canvas settings to a tooltip type. That will reduce the size of my overall canvas. Alright, now I'm going to go back into here and just adjust a little bit. Okay, I like that because I want to leave a little bit of space up top just now, so that way we can put another visualization up there. Now I'm going to deselect the visualization once again and then go back to the report page. So just to point out, the settings are different because it's not selected. So if I select it again, then we see that we have different options and it's specific to our chart. So I deselect it and now it's referring to the entire report page. Okay, so now when I format the whole page and I go to page information, I can say allow use as a tooltip and make sure that this is toggled on. So if it's off, make sure that it's on. Now I'm going to select the visualization once again, and then let's go ahead and edit the look of this page here. I'm going to remove sum of and just call it sales by region. We don't want to have it too wordy because it's going to be rather small, so we're only going to get the basic information. So we will also go and take off this y-axis title. That will open up our chart just a little bit more. And because this page will be used as a tooltip, we currently have a tooltip. I'm going to turn it off. So now when I hover over, there is no tooltip. Finally, I'm just going to adjust the color here by making my bars just slightly different colors. So now I have each region is represented by a different color. Now I'm going to return to our first tab, which in this case I've titled Monthly Sales. If I hover over, we get the very standard tooltip. So I have my visualization selected, and if I go to the tooltip menu, which is under the General tab, there's a few things I could do here. So if I have it set as default, we get a tooltip like this, but I'm going to set it as a report page. And instead of having it as auto, I'm going to select this page that we just made, which we haven't allowed it to be used as a tooltip, so it comes up in the list. So now I selected tooltip, and when I hover over, now I am looking at the other page. So this is a report tooltip. So now we can go back to the tooltip page, and we can customize this a little bit more by adding some KPIs up top. So I want to do total sales and total profit. So in the last video we learned how to create new measures. We're going to have to return to that skill. So if I click new measure here, we get an area to enter a DAX expression. So if I want total sales, that's what the name is. I use an equal sign and I use the sum function. I look for sales, and now I should have it over here in my data, which is arranged alphabetically. And we want to do another new measure. So the next one is total profit. Now when I have the thing selected in the suggestions, I can just hit the tab key, which is what will allow it to go in there quickly, and then I can press the enter key, or I could have checked the green check mark here to commit this. Alright, so now I have total profit and total sales, and before I make a visualization, let's go ahead and set them to currency formats because they do represent a monetary value. Next, let's get a card visualization. I have one in here, and it's hard to work with because it's very small, but I have one, and now I'm going to add another one. Oh, I have to deselect to add another one. So let's go ahead and there we go. PowerBI suggested the little red lines to make sure I knew I was lined up and not overlapping. And I want to go ahead and put these in there. So I'll put total sales on the left, and I'll put total profit on the right. Looks like we have a little bit of cut off text. So let's see if we can format this a little better. Let's take a look at call out, and we have value and labels, so we can adjust this a bit. Alright, so let's see what I did now. That looks good for profit. We have the value set at size 16, and we have the label set at size 10. So we can try the same things over there. Instead of repeating all that, let's use the format painter. And I guess that didn't work, so we're going to have to actually go back in here. The format painter does work for colors, but it just did not work for this. Alright, so now these two match, but we need to get the sales decimal places looking a little more presentable. there. Now you can see what it looks like when the Format Painter does work, but oh no, it messed up my sizes again. I don't like that. I'm going to go ahead and just fix this. Okay, so now I'm satisfied with how the formatting looks on the tooltip, and I've added another visualization to it. Technically, I've added 2 visualizations to it, and we have currency format, and we've made sure that they are the same size. So when I go back over here, when I hover over, now I see this. So what happens when I hover over other points? You can see that all the values adjust. So that is a report page tooltip and how you can set one up in Power BI.